Welcome to Series 11 and number 3. This is all about Jesus doing it himself. Let me read to you from Luke chapter 9 and verses 57 through to 62. As they were going along the road, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus said to him, "Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." To another he said, "Follow me." But he said, "Lord, let me go first and bury my father." And Jesus said to him, "Leave the dead to bury their own dead. But as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God." Yet another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first let me say farewell to those at home." Jesus said to him, "No one who puts his hand to the plough and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." Now, what are the motivations of these three men? We're assuming they're men that were mentioned in that passage. Firstly, I think there's a concept of comfort or status. As they were going along the road, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus said, "Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Jesus is saying, you don't get it. You won't cope with the discomfort. Yeah, being a Christian sometimes is uncomfortable, and in reality, some people don't cope with that. For some people, status of being a Christian is a bit much to handle. Or shall we say the status turns out to be different from what they thought. The ridicule that comes with it, and it's become more prevalent lately, hasn't it? People tend to put down people of our faith. You know, the people of faith just need a crutch to lean on kind of comment. They're right, we do, and I'm proud to say that my faith is what holds me up. Some don't cope with the intellectual criticism, people assuming that you throw out the brain when you actually have an element of faith. Yet for some, it's too much. The second one is about loyalty and priority. To another he said, "Follow me." But he said, "Lord, let me first go and bury my father." And Jesus said to him, "Leave the dead to bury their own dead, but as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God." For some, family gets in the way of our relationship to Jesus. And I hate to say this, but even Christian families sometimes. As an aside, I remember telling Dad I was going to go to college and be a pastor. And his comment went, "Why would you do that? Why would you want to put yourself through that?" And we talked about God's call, but in Dad's eyes, you wouldn't be a pastor as a career choice, only if you had a calling from God, I suppose. And I probably agree with him now. So where does it leave us? What about us? What are we called to do? The third one is about focus. Verse 61 goes on and says, "Yet another said, I will follow you, Lord, but let me first say farewell to those at my home." But Jesus said to him, "No one who puts his hand to the plough and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." I'm greatly impacted by this verse for a number of reasons. Firstly, following Jesus is great, but it takes some work. And the passage tells us to stay focused. Secondly, this point was brought home to me by an experience I had years ago. I went to a heritage festival kind of thing and got talking to a guy who was demonstrating the ploughing. And he was using 4 huge Clydesdale horses. And I found out that he was a Christian, and we talked about this verse for some reason. And he said, "Come and have a go at this." I got to the plot, a bit of a field, and about halfway along he says, "Oh, have a look back." So I did. I thought, wow, I'm doing okay. It looked nice and straight. At the end of the field, he helped me to turn the team around and said, "Stop for a moment." So I did, and he said, "Look at your work." And looking along the line of my ploughing, it was straight except for a bit in the middle. It was like a dog's breakfast everywhere, all over the place. He said, "That's where you looked back." See what the story from Jesus is about? It's a great lesson, isn't it? Focus on what God has for us. Focus on our work. That farmer said, "Look back on your work at the end of it, not in the middle of it. So what are our motivations to minister? Let's put it a little bit differently. What are our excuses not to minister? And you know, what? Hey, what are you talking about? Is it uncomfortable? Is it misguided? Is it misguided loyalties even? Is it we can't concentrate or focus on what we're supposed to do or what we're called to do? And one thing I noticed from that passage, it's all about following. In Christian circles these days, we talk all about effective leadership or pastoral roles or effective mentoring or even defining discipleship. Yet being a Christian is about following Jesus. First and foremost, following without excuse, following without disobedience, following without agenda. Where does it place our Christian life? What do we do with this information? Well, we focus. We focus on following Jesus. Bless you.